Today we are going to cover a pretty advanced gold making strategy for Classic WoW, which you can incorporate into your gold making plans for the upcoming hardcore servers, or even Season of Mastery 2 when that finally comes out. The topic of today's video will be grinding your reputation for profession specific recipes, then crafting and selling those items for a profit. The harder the recipe is to obtain, the higher the profit margins will be. And the earlier in the game's lifespan you get the recipe, the more gold you will also make. One quick example here is the Bloodvine Vest, which requires a revered reputation, with the Sandalari Tribe, which is the Sulgurub reputation. This is a high demand item for cloth users in the early game, so grinding this reputation and selling the Bloodvine Vest as soon as possible will generate huge profit, and the key here is indeed to get the recipe as quickly as possible to capitalize on monopoly in the market. If you are the only supplier, you can set the profit margins, but the more people obtain the recipe, the more competition you will have for sales, and profit margins will go down pretty drastically very fast. One quick note before we get into the video is that this video will be released as early access to anyone who has purchased my gold making guide for Classic WoW, so if you want to have early access to videos, and in some cases exclusive videos, as well as access to a private Discord server for gold making, on top of getting a 134 pages long gold making guide, you can check out my guide through the link down below. This guide will go through gold making on the official hardcore servers, plus you can also use it when Season of Mastery 2 comes out, or any future fresh versions of Classic WoW. With that being said, let's talk about professions and reputations, and I will cover this on a profession by profession basis, meaning I will go through enchanting first, then tailoring, and so on. I will not go through all the recipes in the game, but I will cover most of what I personally consider to be the profitable ones. Now let's go through enchanting first. For enchanting, there's mainly two different reputations that you want to look at. The first one is Timber Maw Hold, which will reward you with the agility enchant formulas for both one-handers and two-handers, enchanting them with plus 15 agility and plus 25 agility respectively. Now these enchants are usually wanted by rogues, hunters and enhancement shamans, possibly others as well. The good thing about this reputation is that you can actually farm it while leveling, and I've seen people get close to exalted before hitting level 60. Although that requires a lot of grinding. The reputation for these bad boys are gained from furbolgs in Fellwood and Winterspring, which also drops items which you can hand in for additional experience and reputation. If you are an enchanter and you are looking to get these recipes, I personally do recommend doing this grind while leveling, as you effectively hit two birds with one stone, leveling up and grinding reputation at the same time. Plus once again, the items you hand in they reward extra experience and extra reputation, so you are double dipping by both getting experience and reputation at the same time, instead of farming it at level 60 when you only get reputation and no experience. Now the other reputation you might want to look at within enchanting is the Sandalari Tribe, which is once again the Sulgurub reputation. Now from here you can get the ref formulas for Brilliant Wizard Oil and Brilliant Mana Oil, which will be in high demand from the very start by pretty much every caster and healer in the game, and getting your hands on these early on could make you a lot of gold. In order to get a reputation, you simply have to raid Sulgurub, but that being said, we will talk more about that at the end of this video. Sticking to the Sulgurub reputation, you also have some recipes there for blacksmithing. You have the Dark Soul set and the Blood Soul set, offering you two sets that can increase your critical strike rating and hit rating, mainly for plate and mail users. It is worth mentioning that you also have access to the Devil Sword set early in the game, as well as many other craftable items that could be better, but these could offer some somewhat cheap alternatives to pre-raid items, and as the hit rating and critical strike rating from these sets are actually quite amazing. Now for blacksmithing, you also have the plans for the Obsidian Mail Tunic and the Jagged Obsidian Shield, both of which you can obtain from the Cenarian Circle reputation. For leatherworking, you also have a couple of noteworthy items from the Sulgurub reputation, namely the Primal Batskin set, a leather set with some pretty decent amount of agility, plus 4% increased hit chance in total, 2% from the gloves and 1% from the other pieces. Now, whether you should go for this set over the Devil Sword set really depends on how easily you can otherwise hit your hit cap, and how much you value hit rating versus critical strike rating. It is worth noting that on any fresh server and new economy, Devil Sword leather and Devil Sword armor is usually very expensive, and even in some cases controlled by the Devil Sword Mafia, so at the very least a Primal Batskin set could provide a cheaper alternative to a pre-raid item set. Now there is one more profession that benefits greatly from the Sandalari tribe reputation, which is tailoring, getting access to the Blood Divine set, which is wanted by pretty much every caster out there, and offering a very strong item set in the early stage of the game. Now one more recipe worth looking at is this one for Alchemy: transmute earth to water, allowing you to transmute essence of earth into essence of water. Depending on the economy and the prices, this one could sometimes be worth more than doing the transmute Arcanite. The whole point of this video is to show you a couple of different profession recipes locked behind reputations and offer an alternative way of making gold than what people usually do. So for this, grind reputations, grind them early and grind them fast. Be among the first on your server to acquire a recipe and then sell the crafted item while the demand is high and the supply is low, allowing you to make maximum profit per craft. Throughout this video I have covered quite a few professions which benefit greatly from the Suluguru reputation, aka the Sandalar tribe, as both Enchanting, Blacksmithing, Leatherworking and Tailoring all have obtainable recipes from this faction. Now some of which requiring all the way up to their word reputation. For this I would like to propose a way for those of you who have these professions to have an alternative way of possibly making thousands of gold. Sulugurub reputation is gained within, you guessed it, Sulugurub. That being said, the amount of runs you can do per week is limited, you have 2 per week, but that limit only counts for bosses. You can reset the raid like a dungeon, the same way mages did back in Classic WoW, to sell experience boosts. And then you can use it like a reputation farm. You can set up groups and farm reputation together, or you can go in solo and kill crocodiles if you're a mage, or alternatively as a duo. The benefits of being solo or duo is that you will get a lot more Sandalari coins and bijus, which can be handed in for additional reputation, while as a full group you will kill mobs faster, but unless you reserve the coins and bijus, you will have to roll for them. Alternatively, you can also buy bijus from other people while farming reputation, or buy them on the auction house, then hand them in for Suluguru reputation in order to obtain these recipes even earlier. As long as you're able to reset the instance and farm reputation, I would highly recommend doing this as soon as possible after hitting level 60. Cap out the profession to whatever you need in order to unlock your profession's recipes, then start crafting and make bank. So with that being said, let me know which other recipes you think are worth unlocking early in the comments down below. Check out my Classic WoW gold making guide for more tips and tricks, give the video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it so far, and that's pretty much it. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.